Hello and welcome back to the Syndicate. I have a new deck list for you. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to record a video. I spent 2 weeks in Uganda with a missions team. If you guys don't know this yet, or I haven't said it in a previous video that you've watched, I'm a pastor. I lead an online church in addition to just loving gaming and absolutely loving Star Wars Unlimited. But for a couple of weeks, I had a team of 8 working with a school and orphanage overseas. And so, yeah, while I'm in Africa, I don't really have much of an opportunity to film videos. And while I was in Africa, the new set released. So got home. One of the first things I did after getting back from Africa and recovering from a little bit of jet lag was hit my LGS and grabbed a couple of boxes of the new set along with the 2 new pre-made decks, which I'm even trying to remember what they were because I feel like I tore everything open so quickly. But with all of that, what was it? It was Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn, which are super, super cool. I've watched a lot of videos about the new leaders and the new set. And what I found is that there are a lot of really cool new cards, but the leaders aren't as powerful as I would like. Now, some of that can be sort of like compensated for in Twin Suns simply because you're in you're in an 80 card deck, you have a lot going on. But sometimes you can't really overcome just having straight up, trash tier, F tier leaders. And so I decided to do a little bit of a mix for this deck that I made this week. I wanted to try to lean into the Force stuff. And we had used Chancellor Palpatine mixed with Anakin, the new Anakin, to be able to use that mix of heroism, villainy, style. This week, we're going to do another Anakin deck, but a different Anakin, and we're going to mix it with one of my favorite new leaders, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So let's take a look at this list, calling it the Republic Generals. This just really captures, for me, sort of like the very end of the stuff with the Clone Wars, or, maybe within, maybe a little bit later, maybe like between Star Wars Episode 2 and Star Wars Episode 3, which I guess is during the Clone Wars, right? The very end of the Clone Wars, maybe Star Wars Episode 3, right before Anakin turns evil. And so I wanted to sort of embody that, but I also wanted to make use of a lot of the new Force cards that have come out in the new set Legends of the Force, which is why we're using Obi-Wan Kenobi and the new base Shadowed Undercity, and we're using a ton of new Force cards. Honestly, the new Force cards make Force decks very strong in Standard, but even in this, man, it's hard. There's just not enough Force units to be able to guarantee you're going to have some level of consistency with them. And so we have some Force, some cards that are just good. I tried to use as many of the new cards and new Force units as I could. We're going to highlight those throughout the set. Let's go over the leaders real quick. Anakin flips on 6 as a 4/7. He gets +1 attack. He has Overwhelm, +1 attack for every 5 damage that's on your base. And you can exhaust him, deal 2 damage to your base, attack with a unit. If it's attacking into another unit, it gets +2 attack. This is exceptionally good with a couple of the new 2 resource Force units that have 2 health, or 2 attack and 4 health, or 2 attack and 5 health in the case of one of them. Which are very, very strong in the early game with Anakin. Obi-Wan, on the other hand, says exhaust him. As an action, use the Force if you have the Force token, and then give an experience token to a unit that does not yet have an experience token. I think that, just the ability to buff up your board is very good in Twin Suns. You could see that in the Tarkin, not Moff Gideon, Tarkin Gar-Saxon deck that I showcased at the very beginning of this channel's beginning, like when I started the channel. And so giving experience tokens at Twin Suns, getting more resilient stuff on the board, especially stuff that have sort of like a high health total, can be extremely powerful. You might be able to play something better here, but I wanted a reliable thing to use the Force on. If I'm going to generate the Force a lot, I want something that I can consistently use the Force on. So I'm going to generate the Force by using Shadowed Undercity. I went blue here instead of yellow because I don't know. I really struggle to play any Twin Suns deck without blue. If you've watched this channel, you know that. It's just really hard to play, in my opinion, Twin Suns without any sort of control that you can use to kind of take over the board, or to, eliminate one person's large unit that gets out of hand. And so I love having access to Force cards. So anytime I have the choice between Cunning or Vigilance, I very frequently lean into vigilance. Shadow Understudy is a 28 health base. We are giving up 2 HP, which is a good bit considering Anakin also damages us, but it just says when a friendly force unit attacks, the force is with you, so you get the force token, which for me, is something that flips back and forth. I'm not going to go over every card in this list. You can take a look at it up with the link to the Star Wars DB here that you can take a look at, but I'm going to go over the new ones that I really like. So the first one, Owen Lars, just a 1 resource 0/3 restore 2. So this is not something that your opponents are going to want. Like, your opponents might have something more threatening to take out, but then when he is defeated, which is nice, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a force unit, put it into your hand. I think we reliably have enough force units in this list that you're almost always going to hit something within 5 cards that has the force keyword. You might not, it's definitely not guaranteed, but I think you have a pretty high % chance of doing that. So he's in here because he's a little bit of search, he's a little bit of healing. Yeah, he's not going to do anything to your opponent's board, but your opponents aren't going to want to remove him, and it's just going to give you a chance to heal up with Anakin. And Anakin with him is pretty good because he does become a 2/3 with Anakin, which is nice. Daring Raid, Force Throw, Mystic Reflection. No reason to go over those, but Mystic Reflection is good. It's a 1 cost, -2 attack, but if you have a force unit, which we commonly are going to, you're going to give them -2/-2. I like these 1 cost events, Timely Intervention, because I think we're frequently going to have the ability to kind of swing 1 extra resource. And so I have them in here for that reason. The new one is Sorcerous Blast. This is a 1 cost that's useless without the force, but it's a good use of the force for us because it's going to deal 3 direct damage to a unit, which we love. Okay, let's get into our 2 drops. And this is where, honestly, the game kind of got out of hand, guys, with this latest set. Although the leaders aren't good, the 2-drop Heroism force units are bonkers. Like, bonkers. So, Ada, ADI, not sure how you pronounce that, 2 resource, 2/4 Force Jedi Republic, and then when an opponent plays an event, deal 1 damage to that opponent's base. That is all of your opponents. Very, very good. The new one, DRK-1 Probe Droid. We're running this. It's a 2 resource, 2/3. It's not a great stat line. It's okay. I mean, that used to be good. It's not a great stat line, but it's fine. But when it's played, you may defeat a non-unique upgrade, which I think is just a nice little handy thing to have. Yeah, you're not going to get to remove, a leader that gets deployed onto, as an upgrade or something. If you see a fly around, I apologize. Can't seem to get rid of them out of this office. There's been one just like hanging out with me, it feels like, for a week. But you are going to be able to target, shield tokens, experience tokens, a handful of other like non-unique upgrades that might come out. And I like having him there just in case. Okay, Gungi, I think. This is just a 2 resource, 2/5 with the Force tag and the Jedi tag. Very, very strong, especially for a couple of the lightsaber upgrades that we're going to run in this list. The Jedi Consular is a new one. A 2 resource, 2/4 action. Use the Force and then play a unit from your hand and make it cost 2 less. Just a great way to be able to cheat stuff out early, honestly. And it's another Force unit that you can get out early. In a normal deck, you probably wouldn't run this, but I want to be able to put a Force unit on the board turn 1 so that turn 2, I have the ability to attack with it and use Shadow Understudy to generate a Force token. Kitsu, cool, or Kyul, whatever, they're in here, along with Restored Arc and Sabine Wren, just because we needed more 2-drops, and these are strong. I also have Luke Skywalker in here. Interestingly enough, he's a 2 resource 3/2 that has the Force keyword, and so he's just another relatively strong 2-drop that could pilot. Unlikely to pilot. We don't have a lot of things in this deck for it to pilot. We're running a few sort of like utility and defensive space units, but we're heavily ground focused in this list. The next 2 that are new that are so powerful is the Secretive Sage, a 2/2 shielded unit that's a Force unit, is crazy. And then Yaddle, which is a 2 resource 2/4, another 2 resource 2/4. With Force, Jedi, and Republic all on him, which is incredible. And then he has Restore 1, and then on attack, each other Jedi unit gains Restore 1, which is fantastic. We're also running just about anything that might deal with the Force in this deck, so it binds all things. Yep, heal 3 damage from something, which you have a decent chance of doing sort of early in the game, because if you think about it, right, you play Yaddle, you play one of these 2/3, something like that, turn 1, you attack into something that has 2 or 3 health, 2 or 3 attack, using Anakin to buff these guys to a 4/4. Then you play It Binds All Things in order to heal it up full and deal 3 damage to something and remove something, and you still have 1 resource left over to drop a Daring Raid or Force Throw, you attack generated Force, Sorceress Blast, or use Obi-Wan in order to, buff him, or, Timely Intervention out the Yaddle, and still be able to do It Binds All Things, and still be able to use Obi-Wan to buff him. Lots of good stuff. Entrenched, this is for troublesome units in the space lane, because we're basically ignoring the space lane, so we don't mind giving one of our opponents a really big thing that they can't hit us with. Inspiring Mentor just goes along with our continued emphasis on putting out experience tokens. And I wanted the ability, like turn 2, to be able to buff some of my real strong turn 1s and try to snowball. We have Luke's lightsaber in here. Yeah, you could say this is a silly card to have in it, but I wanted to have lightsabers in it because we're playing Force units. And yeah, if you're not putting this on a Luke, it's just a +3/+1. Honestly, that makes, Yaddle a 5/5. That makes Ada a 5/5 on turn 2, which is pretty stinking good. But we also have 2 different Lukes in here. The same is true with Mace's lightsaber. We're not running either of these guys as leaders, but we do have 2 copies of each of them in the deck. Yoda's lightsaber, uniquely enough, +3/+1, so the same as Luke's, but you may use the Force whenever you play it to heal 3 damage from a base, and so this could be better later in the game. You're commonly going to have the Force, and a +3/+1 for 2 isn't bad. Admiral Yularen isn't a card that I would commonly play in this list, but it does get Restore 1 and just buffs all of my early game heroism units by 1 health, and so yeah, anything to buff up some of these early game big health guys that I can then buff and use Anakin to buff to attack in is great. No reason to talk about Cassian Conk or disabling Echo Base, but these next group, I would say even Village Protectors, Red 5, Yoda, no reason to talk about those. We have a ton of 3 drops. Let's talk about these 4 new ones. So Ezra is a 3 resource 3/5. So we love that. So's Cassian, but instead of having like the smuggle and come out ready ability, he has the Force, Jedi, Rebel, and Spectre keywords. And then on attack, you can give an experience token to another creature or another Spectre unit. We're not really going to use that a whole lot. We have a couple of Spectre units in here. I think we might have, is there like maybe one thing that we have in here? We might not have a single creature in the list. We have Sabine Wren. That might be the only other card that we have in the list that's a Spectre. Oh, we're also running Kanan. So there's a chance. There's a chance that you use it, but mostly it's a 3 resource 3/5 with Force. We're running the new Grogu legendary, a 1/6 that's hidden, so the turn it goes out, it can't be attacked. And then as an action, you can exhaust him, heal 2 damage from a unit if you do deal 2 damage to a unit. So this allows you to heal up some of your, early game stuff that you put out and buffed up and are pretty tough, and then swing some of that damage back at someone else. I really like Jedi in Hiding. This is a 3 resource 3/3. It doesn't have heroism, but it comes in hidden, so it can't be attacked the turn it comes in. It literally says this unit cannot be attacked if it was played this phase. And then when it's defeated, you can use the Force, lose your Force token. If you do, each opponent discards a card from their hand. Another thing that people probably aren't going to want to hit. I love the, everybody gets to discard a card. Very high chance of you having the Force, because once again, you can trigger this Shattered Undercity multiple times, right? So you could, he comes in, hidden, you attack, trigger, get the Force, deal 3 damage to something, have it die immediately, make all of your opponents discard a card from their hand, which is great. Then we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, 3 resource 3/5 again, so another just nice stat stick for us. And then when you play a Force unit, including this one, it gets Sentinel, and as you know from my channel, we love Sentinel and Twin Suns. In terms of our actions, there's not a ton to talk about here. Hello there, make an opening, open fire, resupply, perilous position, I think are all things that make sense. The General's Blade and Jedi Lightsaber are both incredible incredible on turn 2 on a lot of our early game turn 1 Jedi. We got Whirlwind of Power, which is a new one. So 3 resource gives a -2/-2, but if you have a Force unit, gives a -3/-3 instead. -3/-3 is a lot better than just dealing 3 damage. So, of course, Open Fire deals 4. I kind of view this as like a secondary Open Fire. It does 1 less damage, but it gets through shields. It also lowers attack in case you're trying to attack in, and we're pretty confident that we're going to have a Force unit down most of the game. The Constructed Lightsaber is another new one. So you put it on a Force unit. If it's Heroism, it gets restored to. If it's Villainy, which it wouldn't be, it would be Raid 2. And then it's a +2/+3 in Sentinel on any Force unit that doesn't have Heroism. It's very likely +2/+3 on like Obi-Wan, and then something like that, or a +2/+3 on a Yaddle, and it's giving him Restore 3 now, and so he's just healing up a ton. Putting that on Ada, it would be also great, even on like the pilot Luke, and making him like turn 2 a 5/5 with Restore 2 would also be very good. And so, yeah, lots of good options for the Constructed Lightsaber in this list. Moving on to our 4 drops, Bright Hope is in this just because we want something to clog up the space lane, because we're pretty much ignoring it. And so, yeah, outside of Sentinels, we're not doing much with it. No real reason to talk about Kanan, but every other 4 drop is new. And this is one of the things that I love about this list, is like so many of the cards either you haven't used or are new. So we got Chirrut. He's a Sentinel. And then when this unit is attacked, before damage is dealt, you may use the Force to give the unit that attacked him -2/-0. I do wish this lasted the entire turn, but this is a great thing to buff up, because it's a 4 resource 3/5, with Sentinel in the ground lane, can clog up the lane, and can become very difficult to remove, especially if you have reliable ways to keep attacking with Force units. Then we have a 4 resource 5/4 Force Jedi Republic. And when defeated, you may use the Force if you do put this card into play as a resource. So it's a 5/4 with ramp that gives us the Force keyword. Itinerant Warrior here, a 4 resource 4/4, which I've seen some guys out there saying 4 resource 4/4s, 3 resource 4/4s and stuff are actually better now because of the 2/4s that are in the meta. But this is a 4/4 with a shield, so it's a little bit better than a normal 4/4. And then when played, you may use the Force if you do heal 3 damage from a base. So if you've noticed, this deck has a ton of healing in it, just a ton. Ki-Adi-Mundi, when played, you can use the Force. If you do draw 2 cards, that's great. Luke, 4 resource 3/5, so bad stat line here. But it says when you play another unique unit, which we have tons of, you may use the Force if you do give an experience token and a shield token to the unit, which is very, very strong. If it gets out there, don't forget we do have Luke's lightsaber that can be equipped to him. In terms of 4 drops, we have a lot of sort of like events that are going to what you would expect, right? Takedown, Fell the Dragon, Direct Hit, stuff that can begin dealing point and click damage, point and click removal. That's what we get a lot of at this point in blue. And then we got the new one, Shatterpoint. So it says defeat a non-leader unit with 3 or less remaining HP. But if you have the Force, which I love the flexibility of this, you can just defeat a non-leader unit. So yeah, that's great. This doesn't have the same limitation as Fell the Dragon. You can take out anything with this sucker. And if it has 3 or less HP, you don't even have to use the Force to do it. The Force is with me, which is a card from set 1 that you might not remember, but you choose a friendly unit, give 2 experience tokens in it. If you control a Force unit, which we very likely do, you also give it a shield token to the unit, and you can attack with it. So yeah, if we turn 1, we're able to get down an Ada or a Yaddle, or even a Secretive Sage, or Luke, and then turn 2, we're able to hit it with an upgrade like a Jedi's lightsaber, or a constructed lightsaber, or General's blade, something like that. And then the next turn, able to hit it with the Force is with me, giving it 2 more experience tokens, which you probably already gave it 1 experience token from Obi-Wan. So it's probably sitting on, it's attacking with 3 experience tokens and a shield and a buff on it. Like, yeah, if your opponent's, that's so snowbally. As we go into 5, it probably, most of these won't be a surprise to you. We're just really leaning in on our Jedi here, right? Sakura, Aliyah Sakura. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. 6/5. If you get coordinate off, it's great, but it's a 5 resource 6/5. Anakin is a 5 resource 6/6 with coordinate. You're going to get to draw cards. Kiade Mundi, when an opponent plays their second card each phase, you may draw 2 cards as long as you have coordinate. So these ones are coming online because we got a couple of things to stick on the board early, and now we're getting our third guy out. Keep in mind as well that our Anakin and our Obi-Wan are coming out on 5 and 6, I guess. So Obi-Wan comes out on 5. So you drop an Obi-Wan on the board, and then dropping one of these 5 drops, it becomes very easy to have coordinate out at this point in the game. The new ones, Asajj Ventress is an interesting one. I put it in because it's a 5/6 for 5 with Force, but then when played on attack, give another friendly Force unit +2/+0, so it adds a lot of pressure. I just think that's net a positive. The old Rey and the new Rey are both in here at 5. Old Rey is a 4/7. That when you attack, you heal 2 damage from a unit and give a shield token if it's not a heroism unit. Not going to hit many of those, but you do get to heal a couple off of it. And then the new Rey, the 5/5, and it says when you draw this card during the action phase, if you control a red leader or base, you may reveal this card from your hand. If you do, deal 2 damage. So, it's a 5/5 for 5, which is not great. But, we do have several ways to draw cards in this deck. And so I think there is ample opportunity to be able to get Rey to work. This card could be cut. Honestly, I don't want to cut it because it's new and I actually really like its artwork. I kind of dig it. So yeah. And then once again, we're in blue, so we're going to run our hard removal. So Vanquish out of the airlock might as well be the same card. Obviously Vanquish is less stipulation, but they're very similar in most cases. Okay, going to 6. So we have a couple of things here that you would expect. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Kit Fisto you might not expect, but I'm thinking we probably have coordinate active at this point. Our 2 new ones are the new Anakin and the new Mace. So the new Anakin's a 6 resource 5/7 Force Jedi Republic. When played, if there is a heroism card in your graveyard, give something -3/-3. If there's a villainy card in your graveyard, give something -3/-3. So this is just going to be a 6 resource 5/7 that gives something -3/-3. But honestly, that's good enough. Just to be honest with you, like playing a 6 resource 5/7 and being able to likely remove something from the board or weaken something and then remove it with something else you have on the board is just enough. And then the new Mace. So 6 resource 6/6. I think this is kind of understated, but it is what it is. Overwhelm, and then when played, you may use the Force. If you do, deal 4 damage to a unit. So this guy's very similar to Anakin. They have not the same stat distribution, but the same amount of stats. And they're going to do something, pretty similar because we're very likely going to have the Force at this point. So dealing 4 damage, giving something a -3/-3 is very similar. The point is both of these guys come down and remove something on the turn they hit the board, which is very, very powerful in any card game. Rivals Fall, just for the direct removal. Oops, sorry about that. And then we have this new guy here, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but it's 7 resource 7/7. So once again, we're sort of on that okay stat line. It's fine. It's not great. When played, search the top 7 cards of your deck for a unit, reveal it, and play it. I think it says it costs 1 or 2 less, maybe 3 less. So yeah, so this could allow you to, the idea is, right, this is kind of like a home 1 for the top 7 cards of your deck, or it's a little bit like it's a little bit like Vader without ambush, right? It's a little bigger, doesn't have ambush. It actually would be really, really good if you were playing it with timely intervention. So maybe you play this a turn late, but you play it with timely intervention, you get 2 more attack, and you're kind of doing the same thing. So yeah, he's like a poor man's set 1 Vader in some ways. Luke, no reason to talk about that. It's in your deck. It's so good. And it's our second copy of Luke. Luminara, 7 resource 4/9 with Grit if you have coordinate. And then when played, choose a base, heal 1 damage for it for each unit you control. A little bit more healing. And it's another Force unit. And it's a big, chunky unit. The original Mace Windu, 5/7 with Ambush. And when you attack and defeat a unit, you can ready him. So yeah, just because it's basically just removal. It's very similar to Luke in that way. Luke is going to come down, give something a -3/-3 or a -6/-6. Very common commonly a -6/-6. You know, Mace is going to come down, deal 5 damage to something, remove it, and then get a chance to attack a base. U-Wing Reinforcement, because we have a lot of stuff 7 and below that it's very good. We put Chewbacca in to put it in the resource row and to smuggle it out. Home 1, because we're playing Green Heroism, so you got to have Home 1 in your deck. Krayt Dragon, because we're playing Aggression, and Krayt Dragon's so good in multiplayer. And then last but not least, we're playing Yoda. 8 resource 5/9. When played, you may use the Force if you do heal 5 damage from a base. You'll notice sort of a reoccurring theme here. We have a lot of things that, like, when they hit the board, they do something. And so whether it gives -3/-3 or -6/-6, or it heals your base for a certain amount, or deals a certain amount of damage, or draws you a certain amount of cards. We have a lot of things that use the Force to be able to give us an immediate benefit. And then it says when you use the Force, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the number of units you control. You may deal damage to a unit equal to the number of units you control. So this is the list, guys. Let me know what you think about it. We got, you know, the young Obi-Wan, we got the old Obi-Wan, we got the Anakin with the other Anakin, we got a couple of Lukes in here. We got a lot of the favorite. We got 2 Maces in here. You know, we got a lot of the favorite Jedi. My whole goal was like, can we make a list that just chocks it full of Force units and Jedi and try to make use of some of the new cards? Let me know what you think about this list. How would you change it? Would you change up the leaders and maybe put in a different one instead of maybe Obi-Wan or Anakin? Would you go to yellow instead of blue? Let me know what you think in the discussion below, or in the comments below. That's going to do it for this video. If you liked it and you want me to do more, do me a favor, like the video and subscribe to the channel so you know whenever I'm putting out new content. And other than that, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining the Syndicate if you've already subscribed. And hopefully I'll be back to the normal grind of getting a video out each week, taking a look at a new Twin Suns list or some new cards, especially with these new fun cards. If you have a team up of 2 leaders that you'd like to see me try to put a deck together with, let me know in the comments below as well. And I'll try to put a list together in the next couple of weeks that use the leaders that you want to see used. Okay, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And hey, I'll catch you in the next video.